Hi, and welcome to the next video of the Big Picture training. This is one of the few videos that I'm actually going to record with the camera because I won't be showing a lot on the screen, so I feel that maybe you would like to see the person talking to you. Well, this video is going to be about how to implement Big Picture in your organization. Now, that is a pretty interesting topic, pretty big one, but I will try to sum it up as well as I can. So we've been implementing Big Picture in companies for quite a long time already, and here is what we have discovered, and here is how the process, in our opinion, obviously, should look like. Someone else might have a different approach. This is something that works for us and works for our clients as well. So the first step is to learn how the server, how the tool, how the software is set up and how it's being used. So it's different from company to company because it's dependent on how long the company, for example, is using both Jira and Big Picture. Because we are working with clients that start fresh and start with a clean installation and just want to set it up properly from the get-go. We also work with the companies that have been using Jira for even 5 or 6 years, and now they are going into Big Picture and want to make sure that whatever they already have in a system can be pulled out into Big Picture programs and configured properly so that they can get all the data that they want. There are also companies that have both Jira for quite a long time, and then they also have been working with Big Picture for some time as well, like 1 year. And then they figure out that maybe the way they are working with the tool is not the best one. Maybe it's not configured properly, and we get invited to look at the instance and do kind of an audit of it and see if it can be improved, if it can be configured in a better way to deliver more value to the company. Right, so how does the process look like? Again, the first thing we do is that we go and we need to learn what is actually going on in the system as is right now without any changes. How are the people using it? Which data is getting reported to the higher ups? What are the processes? What is the configuration? Anything that can help us understand how the system is set up, how it's being used, what value it's supposed to bring to the company is important to us at this step. And this usually takes, well, it depends on how large is the instance. It usually takes 1 day, okay? The next day, so the second and third day, we usually devote to Big Picture training. Why? Why do we do the training early and not after the whole implementation process? It's because we want the people that are most interested in the tool to know what are the capabilities, and we also know to level up the nomenclature that we are using. We want to be sure that we are talking about the same thing. So when I'm saying business project, I need them to understand that I'm talking about business projects, not Jira projects, not Big Picture programs, right? When I'm saying that I'm going to use the board or the roadmap, I need to be sure that the people I'm talking with actually know that I'm going to be talking about this and I'm going to be talking about this, right? So the nomenclature is hugely important. I've had situations when I was explaining something to people, they were nodding, I was getting the yeses, everything was okay, but then when I came to actually configure it and show the proof of concept, it was like, well, we were thinking completely about something else, right? And there was just this misunderstanding that shouldn't be there. So that's why we do the training early on so that we can understand each other better. An additional value of the training is actually that when we are giving the knowledge and, taking people through all those Big Picture modules, they start to, design the solution in their mind again. So if they didn't have the proper training early on, maybe they don't know about some of these features. Maybe they don't know that that tool can be used in some of the ways we are showing during the training. And then they see it and they, it immediately clicks in their mind. They're like, okay, I can use this over here and I can use that over there, and together it's going to give me a better result than I'm getting right now. So it actually does part of our work for us, because instead of designing everything by ourselves, we get the attendees of the training to come up with their own ideas, which is so great, because it's so much better when people figure out how to use the tool by themselves, because then they own the idea, they are more willing to implement it and just to, you know, go with it. There is so huge resistance to change in any processes, any new tools, and when the people are able to come up with the things that will give them better results by themselves, this is huge. So that's why we moved the training to the very early stage, the second and third day of our implementation process. Then after the training, we actually go with the design. So we sit down with the team, with stakeholders that are most interested in what the tool will be doing, how it's going to be used, and we try to figure out together, again as a group, for the reasons that I just explained, how to use it properly, you know. So what can I tell you here? I think that the best advice I can give you is think about the reports that you want to get from the tool, okay? Because this is something that defines what data you need to get, what data you need to store in a system, how you're going to work with this data, and what you need to be able to take out from the tool in the end, right? So if you know what are the reports at the end of the day, you basically also know which data you need to put into the system and how to work with it. The process in the middle is important, obviously, as well, very important, and you need to work on that as well, but start with the reports and don't forget about them, because this is something that had caused us some problems in the past as well. Another important thing is to try to remember to involve as many people as possible that will be using the tool. You know, I'm not talking about bringing in the whole company, but bring in the people from all the parts or the sides, all the teams of the company that will actually be involved in using BigPicture. If you forget about someone, then first of all, they will feel omitted. They will feel that you didn't ask them, and that whatever they maybe wanted to share is not important. And then they won't use the tool because they will prefer to stay with the old solutions, and the adoption rate will be terrible. Second of all, it's just proper to ask everyone so that you can design the solution the best possible way, and you can make sure then that the interests of all the groups involved are covered. Another thing that I can give you as a tip is to try to make it simple, okay? Try to make it as simple as possible. I know that sometimes there are crazy ideas that, you know, you can do this and you can do that. Oh, there is a skill-based planning. Cool, let's start doing the skill-based planning. If you don't have to do it, don't do it, okay? If it's just a tiny additional value to you, just leave it, at least for now. Implement the simple solution so that people understand it, and it's easy to learn, and it's easy to use. The more difficult solution you design, the more difficult it will be to lead the change process. And it's really, really hard if you design something that is robust, complicated, and only, you know, 2 or 3 people in a company will actually know how to use this. That's the worst thing you can do. Another great tip I can give you is stay flexible. It's so terrible when people are so attached to the requirements that they just refuse to budge. Don't do this, okay? Every tool is different. Every tool has its own pros and cons, and just take your requirements, take the tool features and functionalities, try to merge it together so that you can get your value, or at least the biggest part of the value, the biggest possible part of your value from the solution. But just, you know, don't customize the solution just because you need something that adds a little bit. Don't get rid of the solution just because it doesn't match one of your requirements. maybe it can be achieved differently. Maybe you can modify the requirements a little bit and still get most of it from the tool. So try to stay as flexible as possible, because if you do that, then, you know, not only the implementation of BigPicture will be easier, but all the other tools, this is basically the same. Every implementation process we do, we always ask for the flexibility. And I'm so happy to work with clients that are like, okay, we thought that it might be done in a different way, but this will work too. I really love this. All right, so this is the 4th day. And during the 5th day, we actually sit down with the team and we take the people who will be responsible for managing the programs, and we take an exemplary program and we implement it in the tool. We set it up, we configure the tool, we configure the program, and try to actually, we don't do it. We ask the people to do it, and we supervise them. We give them tips. We provide help. We answer the questions so that they feel after the implementation process that they actually can do it by themselves. This is kind of important, and that is also, again, why we do the training early on, because then they get the knowledge to do it by themselves. And when they are involved in the design process, then during the 5th day, they are usually able to just configure the things by themselves. They have some tiny questions about some specific functionalities that are maybe not so easy to remember from the get-go, but it's really quite a smooth ride from here. And this is the implementation process that takes a week, okay? After the 1st week, they should be ready. I mean, the company we are working with, they should be ready to implement it and to start working with the tool and create new programs, feed the programs with the data from Jira, and just work with it. If they have any additional questions, we are there to help. So during the first period after the implementation, we provide the support, we provide the help that is needed, and the longer we go from the implementation, the less this support is needed. So the points of contact are less often and less often the farther away we go, but we never leave the companies alone. We always try to help them on their way, even after the first heavy implementation week. So this is the process I would recommend for you. If you want to do it by yourself, take a champion or even 2 champions that would actually be better, and train them in the tool and ask them to follow this process. If you don't want to do it by yourself, maybe you're afraid, maybe you don't have the resources to do it, reach out to us. We are doing these things quite often, and we can absolutely help you implement BigPicture and BigPicture Enterprise in your company as well. So whichever approach you choose, I hope you will be successful, and I hope you will be happy with the tool as I am using it day by day. Thanks a lot for watching this video. See you in the next one.